I always stamp out the new designs on the show. I always stamp them out onto craft paper so everyone can see all the individual stamps on there. And so this is our Taurus, who I just think she's the most beautiful Taurus ever. But she doesn't need to be Taurus. I mean, you know, if I hadn't have told you that she was titled Taurus, she could really cover all sorts of different occasions, couldn't she? And he really didn't like the horns. They're really on the side. I mean, the side of the hair is quite well defined, so you could stamp her and cut them off. So you've got just a beautiful, I mean, you could put a crown on her head, you can do some hand drawing, but she's just stunning. And the white on here, I've just stamped in black, and the white is a white gel pen. That's all. And then our mini driver, I love this one, it's incredibly popular, and I've designed it so that this little door, and I'm going to show this, hopefully I'm going to do the mini as well, but I'm definitely going to show the technique with the cupboard, is that we can, with a scalpel, open the edges, put a fold in, open the door, and this piece here fits exactly, well, it's just a little bit narrow, so you can actually see the edge. It fits in the door. So on here you could put messages, little photo, you know, it could be a wedding invitation, just in miniature, and write really diddy stuff, or just a personal message. And this is a border, and I've also got a technique to show how to really make lots of different shapes with that.
It's like the old Polaroid photo.
Yeah, with that. So that's very flexible. And this is the one that I'm going to be working on in this hour, where we've just got this beautiful armoire. And you've got an option of a shelf with a little mirror and perfume on if you want to put shelving in it. Because it was named Old Mother Cupboard, we put the little puppies in as well. So, you know, use them if you want to. And again, like the mini, this additional stamp here, it fits exactly within the shape of the opening doors. So again, I mean, you can open them up and have anything under, or this you can really personalise as a piece and put that in. And I've got some brilliant little demos of how to use this in all manner of different shapes, so it doesn't have to be that set shape.
Okay.
So what I want to do is very quickly, I want to start on some of the Bockingford, and I thought I'd do it slightly different to what I normally do, because normally I wet the whole paper, then I put my pigment in and let it spread evenly over the whole lot, but I want to try something a little bit different. And then while it's drying, I'll show you all the little things you can do with the borders. And these are fabulous. I use them as watercolours, I use them neatly, you can use them on fabric, permanent on fabric if you heat set them with a craft gun or an iron or something like that, as long as it's got some heat to it. And they go on grey board, MDF. I mean, they really are multi-surface, and we've had these paints right, again, like the Bockingford, right from the beginning. We've never used anything else. We've never changed the recipe, because they do what we need them to do. They're fabulous. So let's bring this water over a bit closer. So I've got a bit of pink, and I want to mix in some red, and I want it quite dilute. And I want to have, instead of, like I said, an all-over spread, I want to have more of a, the only way I can describe it is sort of spidery effect, or speckled. Okay. And the way I do that is I place my pigment where I want it to go, and then with my gun, my spritzer, is I want to spritz sort of round the edges. Are you standing out of the way so I don't get you? Yeah,
I've got beige trousers on, that's all.
Oh.
Look, I've wet myself.
But can you see where it's threading through just all the little specks? I don't want the whole lot.
I like that though.
Yeah, I do too. Now, I personally would just leave it like that, but you can move the paper to make it spread a bit more. In fact, I'm going to put a little bit more colour. I don't know, can you see the colour on the screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Let's just deepen it a little bit.
So that's like that splat, and there's no other way of getting this technique, not being so controlled.
No. You've obviously got experience of being squirted, have you, with a...
Well.
Yeah. Looks like you're a bit worried. So,
well, yeah,
so that's how I would...
I've stood next to Leonie many a time and been covered in all sorts.
Fatal, isn't it? So that's how I do my background. Leave it to one side to dry. I have got one I've already done, but I just want to show you how I use the little stamps. Let me just clear my station. Right, I want to show you this little stamp. So it's, let me come back to my original piece of paper.
Okay.
This little stamp here That's how it looks when it comes on the acetate sheet. And I want to show you all these different things you can do with that one stamp. Now, how pretty are these? So, yeah, so this is obviously as it is, and I've just flipped it the other side. This, obviously, you don't need to do the corner, only one corner.
Okay.
So, again, if you wanted to really extend it and make it a lot longer, you could do. Same with this, if you wanted to add some pen work and make that longer. Sort of a semicircle. I've tried to make it look like rectangles, but these are my favourite. Aren't they lovely? I love these. I mean, imagine doing putting that round a little photo of something. It's so cute. And this as well. And so I'll just do ever so quickly. When I put it down on my mat, I actually quite often use the grids.
Oh, okay.
And so I make sure that the point is on the same one, because otherwise it can look a bit wonky woo. And I think it's easier to, instead of looking at it that way up, I don't know why it should be, because it's just a clear stamp, but you can actually see more clearly the other way up, actually the image you're going to get. And at this point, this is when you can manipulate it. You think, well, that needs to be a bit sharper. Am I happy with that? Yes, I think I am. And this is why this one little stamp on its own is so versatile. I just love it.
Well, it gives you a whole new scope to the stamp set already. It's not, no doubt it was designed with a border in mind, but I'm guessing it was a straight border, and then once you've got it back, you've got, oh, actually, we can do this, this and this with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I mean, when we design, we do try and have some of these things in mind. And, of course, we've done stamps before where they've been very thin and then they move and bend and you think, oh, golly, I can't get them straight. And you think, actually, that's to my advantage. So let's do... I've not done this shape before.
Let's bring you the details of the wardrobe on its own. We'll put them on your screen. A quarter of the stock has now already gone of the wardrobe.
There we go. I mean, another shape. And then what you can do with a pen is, as I said before, we can just extend it, make it longer. I'm always adding extras onto stamps. If there's a little gap that needs filling, I just put some line work on it.
Do you ever add to your stamps and then go, oh, we should put that in the original, on the stamp?
No. I don't think so. No. I also think you don't want to actually necessarily have to put everything in it, because you also want to leave it so that people can be creative and, you know. Did I give you the wrong answer?
No, I like it. No, I like it. I like an honest answer. Because sometimes, well, you never know. I don't think I've ever asked the question before, to be honest. Cause I don't. Could you, as you say, you'll design them all, but so I don't know if you get to that point and you go, oh, we should have added that, or I suppose you can just go in and add it because it's. Yeah,
well, always in my mind, I'm always thinking about how people can use it and not just one trick. I think it needs to do lots of tricks and lots of different things. Because. You know, if you haven't got a lot of money and you want to just invest in a few stamps, you want to be able to create as many different cards as possible from a few stamps. Right, so that's just that little border. And then we're going to go and use the actual armoire itself. Now, this one, it's dribbled, but this one is still drying. But can you see, that is how I created this one here. In fact, even though that's dribbled, I'd still use that for something.
I like the straight line, the way it's dribbled.
Yes.
Very
symmetrical. This is a dry one, so we're going to use our armoire straight on the top. I just love this image here. I think it's so pretty. And, you know, you don't have to open the doors. You've seen in the samples, they look just as pretty with shut doors, but the opportunity for opening the doors means you can be really, really versatile with it.
Also, especially with the almond, that you can snip this down if you wanted to make it slightly smaller. Once again, you could cut those side panels off if you wanted to.
You could do. I mean, you could make it 3D. You could actually cut the whole thing out and put a back to it and make a little, little box. And
or door. I know they're doors to a wardrobe before you start. I'm not that. But you could turn them into big patio doors and open them out onto a garden, sit and do scenes like that way if you wanted to go down that route.
I've got a feeling somebody actually did do a window. Sue did a window,
Sue,
which was very clever.
They're minis, Adam. You won't find it in that pile. It's my last hour.
I think I saw it earlier, so it should be there.
Old Mother Hubbard in the cupboard. Wardrobe. Ah! The last one, it always is. Look at that, because that looks completely different to what you're getting there. It's really different, and that's using the shelf that you've got. I love these. Versatile. I love a card that's versatile. And that's what
Me
this
too.
is.
And actually, you can when we get the cards back from the girls when they've done them, you can see how versatile it is because they've all got a different sort of thought process behind everything. Now this one, I'm actually going to use it as it is here, and I'm going to change the shape of my card. You'd think I'm just going to concentrate here, but actually I want to make it long and thin, and I'm going to do some bits and bobs with the other stamps around here. So there's that beautiful stamp again. And my cloth. Thank you.
It's all right.
I always give them a good wipe off before I finish because otherwise the colours can get a little bit contaminated. Oh, and I love this one too. This is really pretty. Again, this one is great for doing borders and repeats. So
I love all these, and they mix and match so well.
So let's try and, because I've got a shape here, I'm going to try and mimic it here a little bit. So I'm just going to run it along the edge. Let's get it straight, Cathie. And of course you can do second and third impressions, make it a bit more faded. So we're going to go and do a repeat here. Oh, love it. And another one, just fading off, really pretty.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to start introducing, I've got a red, and I think that red's going to be too strong, so I should definitely use that as second impression, not first. I keep putting my rag down in different places. Right, what else have we got? Oh, this beautiful, beautiful heart. That's a really nice one, and that's beautiful. And of course we want the sentiment, which is cupboard love.
Cupboard love.
So it's not really old mother Hubbard, is it? It's, you know, just a play on words. It can be anything you want it to be. So let's try this red.
I like these folky hearts.
And let's take, I'm going to take a little bit of the excess off because I don't want it to be bright red. Actually, it's not too bad. It's not as dark as I thought it was going to be, so we will use it.
I love it. I forget I'm on the telly. I get engrossed. I get engrossed with the demo. I really do.
Well, I'm engrossed as well. You're both together.
I forget to talk though. I forgot I've got to do some talking. But I love this.
So we're going to go down here. We will be introducing a scalpel at some point soon. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add just a little bit of extra colour.
Okay.
Because I want to get a bit of tone behind this armoire so it throws it forward. So we'll go for that, and I think I used spiced pumpkin, which is a really lovely sort of yellowy orange. So I'm just putting a bit of, I mean, this is quite a big brush. As long as you've got a good point to your brush, it's not too problematic if it's a big brush. It just needs a good point. So I'm putting this in just to throw.
The surface paint's got a sparkle to them.
They have. They've got micas in them, and so they're very sparkly. But of course, the more water you add, the less apparent that becomes. It sort of disperses it.
Yeah, I like it.
So put a bit of red in. And I want to ground it, so we're going to put some underneath.
Once again, if we're unsure, if you've sort of helped us along with the shading on the bottom of the feet.
Yes, we have. Just to give an indication of where the shading goes. And now I'm just going in with a bit of clear water, just so there's not a hard edge to my red line. Blend that up there a little bit. If you think you put too much while it's wet, you can always dab some off.
Okay, I love this.
Just shade that in, and I want a little bit of tone in here. And then I'm not going to overdo the armoire because actually the doors, although they are important, the main feature is going to be what's on the inside of the doors. That's going to be the main event. But you can see how little paint we're using, Adam.
But you use hardly any.
I reckon every time I put some out, I bin more than I actually use.
I genuinely think you do.
Yeah.
Especially the first time around.
Yeah.
That was a lot of paint.
It was a lot of paint.
It was a lot of paint.
It was a lot. Because if I was at home, I wouldn't waste it. I would just get some sheets of Bockingford and then do mop-ups. And I mean, I've got piles and piles of mop-ups at home. And it's not that I don't ever use them. I just wait for the right occasion.
Well, that's it. And the more you've got, like, you can spend a whole day just making backgrounds.
Of course you can.
Like you've just had, like we did at the start of the show. You can just make a day of them because then they're there, and that's then you can just get onto the creating bit of stamping and painting rather than now I've got to make a mess. But then I've got to clear all that mess up to go into it. No, your backgrounds are already done. You go straight in with your stamps.
Yeah, right. I'm going to dry that off in a minute.
Okay.
But before I do that, I just want to quickly get the sentiment. And I actually think I'm going to do this in the red. So, Cupboard Love.
And if you did take the sides of this wardrobe off,
it
does look very... there is a famous talking wardrobe from, you know, the Disney film with the Beast.
Oh, yes.
That wardrobe that talks.
Yeah.
It looks very much like that.
Are you not allowed to say what it is? Or?
I don't know if we're allowed to say Beauty and the Beast. I'm unsure.
Oh, you're not?
I don't know.
Oh, OK.
Because Disney, let's not say
yeah,
it. But
just
it looks,
it
looks like the wardrobe in there. On that well-known film.
And then I think here I'm going to go in with actually grey. I don't know why I'm thinking grey, but I'm thinking there's just... Because with the lines, although they're black, they do look kind of greyish. I just think it might be quite nice to have a... Oh, yeah. Like that.
Look at this for a sort of a different shaped card. You never thought you'd do a longer card, but this is what these stamps. So much you can do with them.
While you've been talking, I just did add with a little micro pen just some sort of dash and dots. I do this a lot to ground things. If you're not confident about doing straight lines, this is a great alternative because it doesn't matter if it's wibble wobble, because actually if there's a lot of them it looks like it's all meant to be. And then what I would do is I go in with my lead pencil again just to add a little bit of shading. I've done a bit there already. Again, it sort of anchors it to its base, doesn't it? You know, you can see that it's actually sitting there rather than hovering. You can use your finger to smudge as well. So we're adding a bit of pencil. And, you know, even down the sides we could add a little bit of shading to throw it forward. And what I'll do is I'll get this one finished and we'll put it on the Pink Inkers group Facebook page. Okay. Which we're just shy of 7,000 members actually. And it's where people share all their ideas with their pink ink stamps and other products that they've bought. And it's just a really great platform. Also, if you want any advice, people are really, really helpful.
What's it called? Just Pink Ink?
Pink Inkers.
There you go, the Pink Inkers.
Group Facebook page.
Let's see if we can get to 7,000 today, shall we?
That'd be nice,
go and have an ad. Go and add a friend.
Right, now when I drew this, I drew it with the intention of that we're going to be able to open it. So there's a little tiny gap just in the middle. So with a craft knife, very carefully, we're going to do a line down the middle.
Okay.
I've got my scalpel in properly, yeah I have. And then we're going to go along the bottom. I never cut on a line, I cut just shy of it. I don't like this scalpel, it feels to me that it might be, it's a bit wibble wobble. Have I got I've got another.
It puts me on edge.
Yeah, I've got another one, so let's see if this is any better. We normally have a bit more control over it, that's better. So these are going to be hinged, so we just need to do the top. And with the scalpel, just make sure your fingers and thumbs aren't in front of it, always to the side. I know it's obvious, but it's worth mentioning.
So why do you not follow a line?
Well, I could follow the line. I could actually cut the actual door, but I think if you do that, you sort of compromise the actual illustration itself.
Okay,
you almost kind of lose it. So, and you want to keep the illustration. So I'm just going to this side of this door. I'm turning my scalpel upside down just so I can get a score line, and I'm going to do the same the other side, and then that means we can open the doors.
I love that. Imagine these in your journals and things like that. This would be stunning.
And then we're just going to fold it open. And then what I would do is I would use the same colour palette that I used to do the background for the inside of the doors.
Makes sense.
And then this is the interesting and the fun bit. So I've got a piece here that I've done already, just to show you what is achievable. So this is one that I've obviously stamped and cut out. It's got no colour on it at all. The little tiny puppy comes with it. So you could keep it really simple, doors, and just have the puppy, you know, and write a few words on the top or something like that, open the doors. Or you could use the stamp that comes in the stamp set, which is the frame, and as you can see from this one with nothing on it, it sits within perfectly the doors. I mean, it's so pretty, isn't it?
It really is.
So what you don't want to be doing is stick it in and then trying to fiddle and write things on it. You could write whatever you wanted to write on it in miniature, and then literally that could stick on the top, and you've got your piece of work. This is actually a little tiny miniature stamp, and this is why I love this, because you can go through your stash and find all the stamps that are the right size and appropriate, and that's New Baby. I mean, I love that. We've got one that's from our kitten stamp. Love that stamp. It's great for backgrounds. But I mean, imagine that, and you colouring that and putting that in your armoire. I love him. I just think, and he doesn't almost need any colour. I've just put a little heart in his hands.
So that works.
Yeah. So what we can do is with our armoire, we can then. So this one I've obviously cut out, and then I'm going to stick it behind. I just use a little bit of glue. I don't think I'm going to glue it, because actually I want to paint those. I don't want to get it on there. So just let's imagine that I've stuck that down. So that's going to be the inside. Then our Stardust powders, Mel just briefly talked about these. I love these powders. They are just fabulous. They literally are just powder, and all you need is a little bit of water. I use the lid as my palette, and you just mix it up so it's sort of soluble enough that it will flow off your paintbrush, and use it as a paint. And then when I've finished, I'll just leave that to dry, put the lid back on, and then
leave it to dry first, though, so there's no more water in it, or
it doesn't bother me whether there is or whether there isn't, because the powder will just stick to it, and it will dry, and then you just reactivate it. So you never waste any. None of this is wasted at all, and it's brilliant for painting with. And if you want a real proper metallic, so I'm going to actually just go over the top of this grey, just because it's there, and I'll just so you can see what I'm covering. It is proper metallic, and when it dries,
it really is. Yeah,
it doesn't lose any of its shine at all.
Look at that.
Got a little bit too much on my brush. And then we're going to put one in here on top of the love there, so it's got a bit of continuity to it. Like that.
You can see the mica
in
it.
So even though it's wet, I'm just going to put that back on the lid. It's not going to drip into there, and if it did, it wouldn't matter anyway, because you're just going to reconstitute it.
You're going to add water to it later.
Yeah, exactly. And then a lot of our design team, they quite often use this for the splat. You know when you get splats and it's the metallic.
So you get the metallic.
And that's how you maintain it being really, really metallic. And then I want that to dry, and I want to quickly just, if I can, how much time have I got?
7 minutes.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. I want to just add a little bit of a stencil to this piece. Right, so I'm going to use my distress oxides, and I don't want to cover too much. I love having white spaces or clear spaces on a design. You don't need to fill everything, but I'm just going to have a bit wafting in from this side, and then have the majority of clear that side. And I think I'm going to go in with a bit of, I almost want orange, but I also kind of want a bit of grey. So, well, I've got black. I shall have to just do it very carefully, but we'll start with the orange. There we go. Again, I always use my lids as well for this. I tend to take the majority of it off on the lid.
Rather than wasting it on the cards.
Yeah. And then we'll...
This is why I adore these stencils, because there's no harsh edge.
Yeah, that's why I like them too. Although I don't know that I'm actually going to go... I don't know, I might just... I think I'm going to stop short. We'll see.
There's nothing worse than doing stenciling when you get to the edge, and then you think, oh, you don't think you've gone over and you've not caught it, but you really have, and you take it back and you're like, oh no, now I've got to get rid of that harsh line.
Right, I'm not going to use black on there, what I want to do, it's a little bit, I want it a bit more mottled to match this, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a spray on it, and then dab it off. That's better. So it's a bit more random. So there we are.